Today I'll be testing the sound quality of an XLR condenser microphone to a 3.5mm plug-in power shotgun microphone to help you better decide on which one is right for you. The specific microphones I will be testing today are the Rode NT1 and the Deity D3 Pro. Similar to my first video that I compared a lav mic to the shotgun mic, I'll complete these tests in my acoustically treated space, an untreated office with bare walls but a carpet floor, as well as my basement where I only have vapor barrier up and concrete floors. This should help you decide which microphone sounds better in a particular room that you have access to. In this video, I'll be talking about the specs of each microphone, the pros and cons, as well as what situations one microphone is better over the other. I will indicate below which microphone you are listening to at that moment, and I will switch back and forth frequently throughout the video. If you really want to accurately hear the difference between these microphones, I suggest grabbing a pair of headphones. I have both microphones plugged into my Zoom H6, and the only thing I have done is change the gain so I'm getting roughly the same audio levels. I will not be editing the sound in any other way. For these tests, I will have the microphone positioned the same distance away from my mouth, and I'll start with them set up like this, and then I'll switch to a half an arm's length away, and then a full arm's length away in each of my acoustically treated environments. My prediction will be that the Rode NT1 will sound better when close, but as I move the microphones farther, the Deity may sound better given its polar pattern, which I will discuss later in this video. Rode NT1. This microphone is an XLR condenser microphone and is probably the most professional microphone I own. It has a cardioid polar pattern, which picks up the cleanest audio right in front of it. The closer you are to the microphone, the more body and bass your audio will have. Hey there, my name is Tim Stolars and I have gear acquisition syndrome. The farther you are from the microphone, the less direct sound it will pick up, and the more reflected sound gets recorded by the microphone. The acoustic treatment in this room does a really good job of keeping echo down, so the sound quality will not have dropped too much when I move the microphones away, but it should become quite a bit more obvious when I move to the untreated office and my basement later in this video. Condenser mics are the types of microphones you would likely see in controlled audio spaces for recording music, podcasts, voiceovers, and vocals. It uses an XLR input that needs to be plugged into an audio interface, a mixer, a camera XLR adapter, or field recorder that can supply 24 or 48 volts of phantom power. Without the power, the microphone will just not work properly. The microphone itself doesn't have a lot of onboard features like the Deity. There's no gain control on the microphone or high-pass filter options. However, given that it needs to be connected to some kind of device that supplies a phantom power, there will be a lot more functionality on that device depending on what it is. For instance, my mixer will let me change the volume, gain, compression, EQ, and panning. The combo I got came with this rye coat shock mount and a double layer pop filter to keep plosives to a minimum. The shock mount does a really good job of absorbing vibrations from the movement of the microphone that would normally be recorded if it didn't have a shock mount. Moving on to the more technical specs of the microphone, it has a very low self-noise of only 4 decibels, which is extremely low, several times quieter than the Deity and the Rode Lav Go that I previously reviewed. It has a recording range of 20 to 20,000 Hz, a sensitivity of minus 29 decibels, and an impedance of 100 ohms. The build quality on the Rode NT1 is very good. It feels very professional and has a good weight to it, primarily consisting of metal. Hey, quick 9 seconds of your time. I just want to let you know that I respond to every comment, so leave any questions you may have down below. If you feel like hitting that like button while you're down there, that would be awesome too. Deity D3 Pro. This microphone is a shotgun microphone that has a super cardioid polar pattern. That means it's really good at picking up audio that is directly in front of it and even performs well when it's farther away from the audio source. That's why they can be placed just out of frame for people who don't want to have the microphone in their shot. This is also the microphone choice for vloggers and run and gun shooters. They usually come with a hot shoe mount that can be attached to the top of a camera and are great for increasing audio quality when compared to using the built-in camera audio. It uses a 3.5mm TRRS smart jack that requires plug-in power and is actually pretty unique. Unlike other microphones, it has a processor that detects what kind of device you're plugging it into, which makes it more compatible with more devices. So not only can you use it with mirrorless or DSLR cameras, but it also works plugged into cell phones and tablets. On the microphone, there are some controls that you can directly tweak. It has a stepless gain knob that ranges from 0 decibels to 20. This is another unique feature, as other external shotgun microphones usually only give you the option of -10, 0, or +20 dB. Having a gain knob really lets you dial in the volume and lets you turn it up appropriately when plugged into sources that you want to keep their gain down due to their lower quality preamps, something that is very common in a lot of cameras. There are no batteries needed for this microphone, as it comes with an internal one that is charged through USB-C. The battery life has an estimated runtime of 51 hours and a standby time of 74 hours. This standby is another great feature. It can detect when your camera is off and it switches to standby mode. This saves the battery life and is something that is missing from a lot of the competition. The last onboard controls include a high pass filter that you can set to 75 or 150 Hz. This is useful when you want to cut out the lower frequencies below these thresholds. The standard package comes with a carrying case, a foam windscreen, a Rode shock mount, the connection cable, and the USB-C charger. Some other technical specs are that it has a recording range between 50 Hz and 20,000 Hz, self-noise of 84 decibels, sensitivity of -24 decibels, an impedance of 200 ohms, and a dynamic range of 114 decibels. The build on this microphone also feels solid and good quality. It's primarily metal with decent weight, but significantly lighter than the Rode NT1. So what are the pros and cons of each microphone? Well, these two microphones are a little bit harder to directly compare, like I did with the Deity and Rode Lav mic. Those are both plug-in power devices that can be used for recording such as this, as well as used outside on location. The Rode NT1 is a much more stationary microphone, needing phantom power and an interface, and is meant for recording much higher quality audio at the expense of versatility and mobility. Benefits of a shotgun microphone are that you can keep the microphone out of frame of your video, which I prefer to do. It's much better at isolating the source of audio that you want to capture, given its super cardioid polar pattern. With the Deity and other plug-in power shotgun microphones, it can go directly on the camera, which is much more run and gun friendly. Specific pros to this Deity shotgun microphone over the Rode NT1 are that it's more versatile and easier to set up, not requiring the device to be supplied with phantom power. It has more onboard functionality like the gain knob and the high pass filter options. It can be used with a wider range of devices such as cameras and audio recorders, as well as phones and tablets. The Rode mount has a shifting base design, which lets you push it forward if you want to use the viewfinder, or push it back if you want to keep it out of frame when using a wider lens. And lastly, the price of the Deity D3 Pro is quite a bit cheaper than the NT1, especially when you factor in needing to buy an interface. Negatives for a boom mic is probably something you're hearing right now and what you heard throughout the video. When I'm recording in an untreated space with the mic farther away from my face, which is what you would normally do with a boom mic, it's picking up a lot more echo. I don't like recording my talking head videos with this microphone unless I'm in my treated office. However, this doesn't become as much of a negative when you place the mic near your face like I have here with the condenser mic. As you've heard throughout the video, the sound quality is still really good, especially when it's near the audio source. Specific negatives to the Deity D3 Pro is that as smart as the connection is, allowing to work with a wider variety of devices, not every device is compatible. This is the list on Deity's main page that outlines all the devices that it will work with. And to be fair, it's still a pretty long list. Positives for condenser microphones and the Rode NT1 really just come down to sound quality. Overall, they will sound better than shotgun microphones, even XLR versions. You won't often see a shotgun microphone being used to record music, for instance. If the main goal is to record the highest quality audio in controlled environment settings, the condenser microphone or a dynamic microphone will be your best choice. And lastly, it has several times less self-noise than the Deity. Only 4 decibels versus 84. And as a condenser microphone is meant to be positioned closer to the sound source, it will record cleaner audio. But like I said already, if you just put a boom mic near the sound source as well, it will also get cleaner audio. Negatives for condenser microphones and a Rode NT1 are how much less versatile it is. It needs phantom power and it needs an interface. It can't just be strapped to the top of a camera and taken on location, and it takes a bit more time to set up. Before I moved to using a dedicated audio recorder, it definitely slowed down my work for setting up my mixer, plugging it into my computer, turning on Logic, and making sure to turn on everything in the correct order. All the volume and gain levels need to be at 0 before turning on phantom power, and usually it takes a few moments for the power to start working. Then it's a good idea to do everything in reverse when you're done using the mic. Turn all the levels back down to 0, then turn off fan to power before unplugging it. There are some mixed reviews about what happens when you unplug a condenser microphone when its levels are still up and fan to power is still on. But if there's any chance of it damaging the microphone, I'd rather not do it. Now, a big negative for me personally, one of the reasons I barely use this microphone anymore is that it's too sensitive of a microphone. I don't seem to see too many people having this problem on YouTube, so maybe it's just me, but this microphone picks up a lot of mouth noise. Hopefully you haven't heard too much of it, and maybe I'm just nervous while I record or just get a drier mouth faster than others, but no matter what I do, I have a lot of issues with mouth noise with this microphone specifically. Last negative is the sad little carrying case the NT1 comes with. As it won't be moving around too much anyways, it's not the biggest deal, but it would have been nice to have a hard case with it. So those are the differences between shotgun and condenser microphones. I did a similar test comparing the Deity to the Rode Lavalier Go, which you can watch right here. Next, I'll be testing the Rode NT1 to the Rode Lavalier Go, which you can watch here once it's up. And lastly, YouTube's algorithm thinks you will enjoy this video the most. Be sure to check one of those out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.